Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're digging into something really crucial if you're looking at a VA-backed home loan.
That's right. We're talking about minimum property requirements, or MPRs.
Yeah, sounds a bit dry, maybe, but honestly, these are super important. We've got the official VA guidelines here.
And our mission today is basically to pull out what you really need to know to get through this part of buying a home.
So, MPRs. It's the VA's way of making sure the property is okay.
Exactly. It's about protecting the veteran, first and foremost, but also the lender, the servicer, and, well, the VA itself. They want to know it's a sound investment.
And crucially, a safe place to live.
Absolutely. Safety is paramount.
Okay, so when I hear property requirements, my first thought is, is the roof leaking? Is the foundation cracked? Basic condition stuff.
Well, yes, that's definitely a big part of it. Ensuring the property is safe, structurally sound, and sanitary is fundamental.
But you're saying there's more to it.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
The MPRs also look at the property's location, even its legal standing. It's quite comprehensive.
Right. So it's not just the appraiser walking through and putting a price tag on it.
That's a really key distinction to make. The VA appraiser will identify repairs needed to meet these minimum MPR standards. That's part of their job for the valuation.
Okay.
But they're not doing a full home inspection. They aren't testing every appliance or, checking the furnace's heat output in detail.
So they're focused specifically on things that breach these VA minimums for safety and soundness.
Precisely.
That helps clarify. So what about, say, cosmetic stuff, like some scuffed paint or maybe an older dishwasher that still works fine?
Generally, no. Those things, cosmetic issues, minor deferred maintenance, just normal wear and tear, usually don't fall under mandatory MPR repairs.
But the appraiser might note them down.
Oh, yeah. They'll factor that into the overall condition and the final valuation, but it probably won't hold up the loan needing repairs first.
Got it. What if there are other buildings on the property, like a detached garage or a shed?
Good question. Detached improvements, like a garage, can be included in the property's value, but only if they also meet the MPRs.
And if they don't?
Then their value isn't counted. And here's something interesting. If a detached structure is actually a hazard, like it's falling down, the appraisal might come back subject to its removal. They might require you to tear it down before the loan closes.
Wow, okay. So the main idea behind MPRs is really safety, structure, sanitation, plus these location and legal checks.
You've nailed it. And that's why the VA strongly recommends that veterans get a separate home inspection.
After the appraisal.
Yes, usually after the appraisal. It gives you that much deeper dive into the real condition and operational status of everything.
You mentioned local variation.
Yeah, MPRs can sometimes differ slightly depending on the state or region. You can usually find these specifics online.
Okay. And one more thing, specially adapted housing.
Yes, for veterans in the SAH program, there are additional MPRs tailored to accessibility and specific housing needs.
Makes sense. Okay, let's talk about this term, marketable real estate entity. What does that actually mean in VA terms?
It basically means the property has to be a single unit that someone could reasonably buy and sell on the market. Usually it's all on one deed.
Can it be multiple pieces of land?
It can, actually. If you have, say, 2 or 3 contiguous parcels, as long as they're all being transferred together on that single deed, that's generally okay. The VA doesn't set strict limits on acreage, which is helpful.
What if there's something dividing the property, like a road cutting through it or maybe a creek?
That doesn't automatically rule it out. The appraiser has to look at how that division impacts the property's use and, importantly, its marketability.
So can you still use all the parts easily? Is it still appealing to a buyer?
Exactly. Are there proper easements for access? Does it still function well as a single property? That's what they'll assess.
Okay. Let's get into some specific property characteristics. Space requirements, enough room to live, sleep, cook, eat, use the bathroom. Seems obvious.
It is pretty straightforward, but it also touches on non-standard construction.
Like log cabins or maybe those dome houses?
Precisely. Or even things like very low ceilings in parts of the house. These aren't forbidden, but they absolutely must meet local codes and safety standards.
And be marketable.
Critically, yes. The appraiser needs to judge if that unique style is acceptable in the local market. A super quirky house might be harder to resell, which affects its value.
Right. Access is another big one. Getting to your house. Public streets are easy. What about private roads?
Private roads need a bit more documentation. First, you need a permanent, legally recorded easement guaranteeing access.
Can't just be a handshake deal?
Definitely not. And second, there has to be a formal way to handle road maintenance, usually an HOA or some kind of joint maintenance agreement signed by everyone who uses the road.
What if there isn't one? No formal agreement?
Well, the ideal is to get one set up, if that's just not possible, and maybe the veteran ends up responsible for maintaining a big stretch of the road.
That could be expensive.
It could. So that arrangement needs to be reasonable, and it might require special approval from the VA's Regional Loan Center, the RLC. They want to avoid unexpected financial burdens.
And the access itself can't involve cutting through a neighbor's yard, right?
Correct. No trespassing required. And access can't be through someone else's apartment or living unit. All easements have to run with the land, meaning they stick with the property forever, regardless of who owns it.
What about getting to the backyard?
Yeah, that's required too. You need access without going through another separate living unit. For townhouses, maybe it's an alley or an easement, or even through your own house is fine.
And space between buildings?
Yes, enough room for maintenance. If a wall is right on the property line, it needs to be a proper full-height separation wall.
Okay. Encroachments. This sounds like potential neighbor drama. When something's built over the property line.
It can definitely be trouble. The appraiser has to report any apparent encroachments, whether it's your stuff on their land or their stuff on yours, or something built over an easement line.
And then what?
The lender needs to know right away. Those legal issues usually have to be sorted out before the loan can proceed.
Drainage and topography.
Yeah.
Keeping water away from the house.
Super important. The land should slope away from the foundation. No ponding water allowed.
And hills or cliffs nearby.
Appraisers also report potential dangers from the surrounding landscape risks, like mudslides, falling rocks, that kind of thing.
Which leads into geological and soil stability. This sounds serious.
It can be. Appraisers report obvious soil issues or land features that could hurt value or safety. They should also check for local reports on soil instability.
Like sinkholes.
Exactly. If there's a probable or imminent danger of subsidence or sinkholes, the property might be ineligible.
What about less dramatic settling, cracks in the walls?
Significant settlement, like big step cracks or really uneven floors, usually needs repair by a licensed contractor. But, minor hairline cracks, common for the area, might be okay.
And new construction in iffy areas.
Often needs special builder certifications or engineering reports showing they've accounted for potential soil issues.
Okay, flooding. A huge concern in many places. What's the VA rule?
If the property is in a FEMA special flood hazard area and SFHA, flood insurance is mandatory. Simple as that.
What if you can't get the insurance?
Then the property is generally ineligible for the VA loan. And even if it's not in an official SFHA, if the appraiser sees clear evidence it floods regularly, it could still be deemed ineligible.
Who checks the flood zone?
The appraiser notes it, but it's ultimately the lender's job to verify the official flood zone determination.
Can you exclude, say, a detached garage from the flood insurance requirement?
Sometimes, yes. If the veteran requests it and the garage isn't part of the appraised value, it might be excluded. Private flood insurance is also an option now, not just the NFIP. And remember, these maps change, so the zone can change too.
What about these coastal barrier resources systems, CBRS?
Properties inside a designated CBRS area are flat out ineligible for a VA appraisal. These are federally protected zones. Appraisers near coast need to know where these are.
And lava flow zones. I assume this is mainly Hawaii.
Primarily, yes. Properties in the highest risk lava flow hazard zones 1 and 2 are also ineligible for VA appraisal.
What about lower risk zones?
For those, the appraiser has to analyze how that risk might affect the property's market value and report on it.
Okay, let's shift gears to property use and local rules. What if someone wants to run a small business out of their home?
Mixed-use properties can be eligible, but with strict conditions. It has to be mostly residential.
So like one small office or studio?
Right. The business part shouldn't dominate the property or ruin its residential feel. Only one business unit allowed, and it must be legal according to local zoning.
And the appraisal value?
Only based on the residential part. The business operation itself adds no value in the VA appraisal.
Zoning compliance seems like a must.
Absolutely. Has to comply with local zoning.
Yeah.
If it's legal non-conforming, meaning it was legal when built, but zoning changed later.
Like an older house that's now too close to the property line?
Exactly. The appraiser needs to describe that, comment on its marketability, and crucially, state if it could be rebuilt the same way if it were, say, destroyed in a fire.
And what if the local town has its own rules for home sales,
Right.
like specific inspections or repairs they require?
If there are local code enforcement rules tied to property sales, the appraiser needs to note them. And if they know specific repairs will be required by the city or county for the sale to happen.
Like removing an unpermitted deck.
Yeah, or maybe upgrading old wiring, then the appraisal will be made subject to those specific local requirements being met.
All right, let's talk utilities. Electricity seems basic.
It is. Each living unit needs electricity for lights and essential equipment, but the power doesn't have to be on during the appraisal.
But visible problems.
Oh, yes. Any obviously frayed or exposed wiring is a safety hazard and must be repaired.
Multi-unit properties. Separate utilities.
Generally, yes. Independent utilities for each unit. There are some exceptions for shared systems like water or sewer, but only if there are separate shutoffs and proper legal agreements, like easements and maintenance deals, in place.
And you need to be able to get to the utility meters and shutoffs without trespassing.
Correct. Clear, legal access for maintenance is required.
Water and sewer, obviously critical.
Absolutely fundamental. Need a continuous supply of safe, drinkable water, including hot water and safe sewage disposal.
What if the water has known issues, like contamination?
The appraiser has to comment on that and adjust the value accordingly. If there's lead contamination in a public supply, for instance, a central filtering system treating all the water becomes a requirement.
And connection to public systems.
If public water or sewer is available and the local authority requires connection, the appraisal will be subject to that connection being made.
What about private wells? Individual water supplies.
The water quality has to meet local health standards, or EPA guidelines if there are no local rules. Testing must be done by an independent third party.
Not the homeowner or seller.
Right. And the veteran might need to sign an acknowledgement for certain types of wells, like dug wells or cisterns, or if there's a complex filtration system.
Distance from septic tanks.
Appraisers should be aware of minimum distance requirements between wells and potential pollution sources. Water tests are usually good for 90 days. And again, connection to public water is required if mandated locally.
Septic systems. Individual sewage disposal.
Needs to dispose of waste safely without being a nuisance or health hazard. Pit privies are only okay in very specific rural areas where customary and approved.
New septic systems.
Often need health department approval, especially if the soil is tricky. And same story. If public sewer connection is required locally, you have to do it.
Shared wells sound complicated. Multiple houses on one well.
They need careful setup. The well has to supply enough safe water for everyone simultaneously. There must be a permanent legal easement for access and maintenance.
And a cost-sharing agreement.
Yes, a recorded well-sharing agreement outlining who pays for what is essential. The appraiser reports the shared well, the lender reviews the agreement. Water quality standards are the same as for individual wells.
What about community systems? Like a small private water company for a subdivision.
Appraiser notes it. The system needs sufficient capacity, approved water quality, and adequate sewage treatment. The lender needs proof of state or local approval for these systems.
And sometimes a trust deed.
Yes, especially for private systems to ensure they keep operating properly, set fair rates, and remain reliable.
Okay, shifting back to safety and structure. Hazards.
Big one. Property must be free of hazards affecting health, safety, structure, or just normal use. Appraisers have to flag these immediately to the lender.
Define defective condition.
These are things that seriously compromise safety, sanitation, or the building's soundness. Think faulty construction, really poor workmanship, major settlement, ongoing leaks, decay, termites.
And the fix.
Property is generally unacceptable until those are repaired. The appraisal comes back subject to fixing those specific defects.
Mechanical systems, plumbing, electrical, heating.
Have to be safe to operate and protected from damage. Appraisers don't test them deeply, but they'll call out obvious safety issues or major problems they see.
Heating has a specific temperature requirement.
Yes, usually needs a permanent system capable of keeping areas with plumbing at 50 degrees Fahrenheit.
What about non-vented heaters, like those wall units?
If used as a main heat source, the veteran has to acknowledge it, and an HVAC pro needs to certify it has an oxygen depletion sensor and meets code.
Is heating always required?
Maybe not in super mild climates where it basically never freezes. Air conditioning isn't required, but if it's there, it needs to work, and obvious defects need fixing.
What if the furnace, or AC, or even the propane tank is leased?
Ah, good point. Leased items get zero value in the appraisal. Propane tanks, solar panels under a lease or PPA, they have to be noted, but they don't add to the property's appraised value.
And the appraiser considers if removing them later would hurt the property value.
Exactly. Same for any alternative energy gear. If it's leased, no value. If owned, its market acceptance is analyzed.
Roofs, attics, crawl spaces, basements, key areas.
Definitely. Roof needs to keep water out, be reasonably durable. Too many layers of old shingles usually requires a full tear-off before replacing.
Do appraisers have to walk on the roof?
No, not required. But if they can't see it well, they need to explain how they assessed its condition.
Attics.
Accessible attics get a visual inspection. Water stains, bad ventilation, those trigger a subject to repair.
Crawl spaces.
Need to be viewed, have decent access, be clear of junk and water, and properly vented. Enough space under the joists for pipes and ducts. Dampness or ponding water must be fixed.
Basements.
Report dampness, structural issues. Sump pumps need to be properly installed and wired.
Swimming pools. Always fun, but potential headaches.
Right. If it's green with algae or winterized, they might appraise assuming minimal repair cost. But obvious structural cracks in the pool or deck, those need reporting and likely repair or maybe even pool removal.
Above ground pools.
Can add value if common in the area. And all pools must have required safety barriers like fences and locking gates per local rules.
Burglar bars.
Security versus fire safety.
It's a balance. If there are bars, each bedroom needs at least one window with a quick release mechanism or an exterior door.
What if you can't tell if the release works?
Then removal of bars on at least one window per bedroom might be required for safety egress.
Lead-based paint in older homes pre-78.
Big concern. It's presumed present. Any defective paint, peeling, chipping, cracking is a hazard and must be fixed.
Wow.
Either cleaning and repainting properly or complete removal or covering it up safely. Encapsulation. Cost isn't a reason to skip this. The appraiser has to certify it's done right.
What about homes built after 78? Generally, only defective exterior paint exposing the wood needs fixing. Interior paint issues are usually considered cosmetic then.
Termites and other wood-destroying pests or rot.
Appraisers report any visible signs. If they see evidence, a professional pest inspection is usually required.
And if they find something.
All damage needs repair, and any active infestation needs treatment. In high-risk termite areas, an inspection might be required automatically. Condos have slightly different rules depending on the building type.
Radon gas.
VA strongly recommends testing, but doesn't mandate it. For new homes in high radon areas, EPA Zone 1, builders are encouraged to use radon-resistant techniques and certify they did.
Okay, that covers the building itself pretty well. What about environmental issues or things nearby?
Appraisers look for signs of trouble, like old underground fuel tanks, potential contamination, oil or gas wells nearby.
And if they spot something?
Appraisal becomes subject to fixing it or getting official clearance from environmental agencies saying it's okay.
What about being close to big fuel tanks?
If you're within 300 feet of large, flammable, or explosive storage tanks, that gets reported, and the veteran has to sign an acknowledgement on the notice of value. Appraisers try to find comps in similar locations.
Mineral rights or oil gas leases.
Need to analyze how those might impact using the property residentially or cause potential damage.
High voltage power lines. Pipelines.
Big easements usually. No houses allowed within the easement. Detached things like sheds in the easement get no VA value. Properties within 100 feet of the easement edge have to be noted. Same basic idea for high-pressure gas or oil pipelines.
Properties near airports. Noise and safety zones.
Yeah, appraisers need to know about those zones. They consider the impact of airport noise on value and use comparable sales affected by noise if possible.
Can you build right near the runway?
Proposed construction in designated clear zones is generally ineligible. For existing homes or new builds in clear zones or accident potential zones, the veteran has to sign an acknowledgement about the airport proximity.
Let's touch on specific house types. Manufactured homes.
They have extra rules on top of standard MPRs. Must be legally real estate, on a permanent foundation meeting VA specs, meet HUD standards, and have minimum square footage. Appraisers need to know the local rules for these.
Modular homes. Built in a factory.
They need to meet regular state and local building codes, like site-built homes. Appraisers compare them to whatever they compete with in the market.
On-frame modular.
Special type. Need the axles and hitch removed, vapor barrier skirting, permanent foundation.
Okay, wrapping up. Any other points? Waivers? Flexibility.
Well, the VA encourages energy efficiency, which is good. And yes, waivers for NPR repairs are sometimes possible.
How does that work?
The veteran requests it, the lender agrees, and the VA has to approve. Key conditions. The property must still be habitable, safe, sound, sanitary, and the waiver can't create a safety issue.
Does a home inspection help with waivers?
It can. A detailed inspection report might support the request. But if a waiver is approved, the property's appraised value might be lowered to reflect the undone repairs.
Any special cases, like after a disaster?
Yes, RLCs can consider waivers more flexibly if there are widespread material shortages, for example. And sometimes you can escrow funds at closing for repairs.
But the repairs still have to get done.
Absolutely. Within a set time, and the loan doesn't get fully guaranteed by VA until all NPRs are met or officially waived.
Wow. Okay, this deep dive makes it crystal clear. These VA minimum property requirements are definitely not just a quick look over.
Not at all. They're comprehensive.
They really serve a critical purpose, protecting veterans, making sure they're buying homes that are decent investments and safe places to live. It's all tied together.
Exactly. It's about ensuring the home is safe, sound, and sanitary within a legally sound framework.
It's incredibly detailed. And hopefully understanding these requirements helps empower veterans using their VA loan benefit. It gives you a better idea of what to look for and expect.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power in the home buying process.
So thinking ahead, it makes you wonder, right? With building tech always changing and environmental concerns becoming so much more urgent, how might these NPRs evolve in the future?
That's a great question. Definitely something to keep an eye on.
Food for thought. Thanks for walking through all the nitty-gritty of VA NPRs with us today.
My pleasure. It's important stuff.